Hello everyone, I'm Rhoda and this is Rhoda Cards. Welcome to another tutorial today. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little card. It's some kind of a slider card. When you open the card, the inside slides up, and then when you close it, the inside is supposed to slide back down. And I thought this was just a cute little slider card, so I thought I would show you how I made it. I originally saw this video on how to make this with Jan Brown. She's in the UK, and I thought this was a cool idea. I've adjusted some of the measurements, and I wanted to put the happy birthday so that it's kind of a surprise. It slides up when you open it. You can't actually see the birthday until you open it. It slides up. So that's my special spin to it. So I wanted to show you how I made this. So here is all the pieces that we're going to need. I'm using a cream colored base, and the base is 4 1/4 wide by 11. And you can get 2 of these out of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. Just put it in your paper trimmer longwise and then cut it right down the middle at 4 1/4. So if you put it in your trimmer this way, you can get 2 bases out of 1 piece of cardstock. So that's what I did with that. You are going to need the inside piece that slides up and down, and this is 5 inches by 4 inches. I had it 4 1/8, but it wasn't sliding up and down freely, so I trimmed it down a little bit. And score it at 3/4 from the top on the 5-inch side. So this is your 5-inch side here, and you're going to score it at 3/4 of an inch from this side. Now on the front, I used this paper, this blue paper on the front as a mat, and that's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And the pattern fish paper I used is 5 1/4 by 4. The pocket that goes on the inside that the piece slides in and out of is 4 3/4 by 4. You're going to score that at 1/4 inch from each end. I've already scored it and I've put some tape on that, so when we get to sticking it down, it's already ready to go. But you can see where I scored it at the end, 1/4 inch from either side, and then I folded that down. So that's ready to put on the inside. And then I made a mat for the inside to go on that piece because I wanted them to be able to write on it or whatever. You can write on this piece. The blue is really dark. If you use a white base or a light colored base, then you won't need this piece on the inside. But this blue is just too dark, so I wanted to put a piece on it so you could write on that. Now the stamps I'm using today are Let's Go Fishing by Close to My Heart. I'm using the fish hook here. I'm using that one. I'm using Card Captions, again, by Close to My Heart. And I'm using the Happy Birthday stamp here. And I'm also using For Family, which is close to my heart. And I'm using the Sending You. And then I have the Grandson, which I put on the inside. So those are the stamps that I'm using. And let's go ahead and get started putting this together. So we've got the base, which is 4 1/4 by 11. And you can score this right in half at 5 1/2 if you want. I just take it and fold it. If you're really good at folding it in half, then you don't have to score it. If you'd rather score it, that's fine too. You can do that. And I use the bone folder just to make a good crisp crease right there on my base. Now, after what I did after that was you have your inside. This is the inside piece. It's 5 by 4 inches. And I scored it at 3/4 at the top. Again, you want to fold that down. And when you score, you want to fold against the mountain, not against the valley. And then use your bone folder to fold that down really well. And then I open it back up again. You'll see why here in a minute. Then the first thing that I did was I took this piece. This is the pocket that we're making on the inside. Okay, that's our pocket. Again, that's 4 3/4 by 4, and we scored it at 1/4 inch on either side. And we're going to stick this down right here. I want to show you a trick that I learned from Natasha Foote that's on, she has YouTube videos as well, and she's in New Zealand. And I put this is really tough tape on the back here. It can be called score tape with some companies. I think Stampin' Up! Calls it Terran tape. I got this at Tuesday Morning. I don't know what the name of it is, but it's on a roll, and you peel it. You can peel it off. This is 1/8 inch, and you just kind of peel it off, stick it down. You can tear it off, or you can use a pair of scissors and just trim it once you get it down on this piece. I've torn it before, and it leaves a little piece hanging off the edge, and I end up having to push that over with my finger or cut it off with scissors anyway. So that's why I just use a pair of scissors and trim it. But what Natasha said, if you take and release the paper, don't take the entire thing off. Just take one corner off and push it towards the edge on the outside. Don't put it on the inside, but push it to the outside at the opposite ends. It's going to make it easier to line up, and then when you pull the release paper off, it'll be lined up instead of having it all stuck, and if it doesn't stick down right, then you can't get it back up to move it. So since that little corner is the only corner that's open, you just stick that down a little bit, line it up where you want it, and you can line up both sides where you want it. And since the release paper is still there, you can hold it and then just kind of tear the piece and pull it off. And as it pulls off, you stick it down where you want it. And that's why you want the piece hanging out the side where you can grab a hold of it, not facing the middle of this piece. You can't grab a hold of it on there. Then you just grab this piece and you just pull and kind of press at the same time. I don't pull it too hard. I did that once and it ripped off in there, and then I had to pull this open and tear off the extra little pieces. And that's a little bit easier than tearing it all off and then trying to stick it down straight. So that's the first thing that I did. Now, like I said, when I was stamping this, I wanted the happy birthday to be hidden, and then when you opened it, the happy birthday to lift up. So to do that, I stuck this down in here, and I lined it up with the score line here. And I pressed it from inside the bottom. That's why I did not seal it down at the very bottom. I wanted to be able to get my finger in here. So I pressed this all the way up to the score line, hold it down here at the bottom, hold it with my finger, and then I kind of closed this a little bit. Again, pressed it with my finger to make sure it was all the way up at this score line. And then I opened it back up. This is the piece that's going to show. And then when you open it, it'll lift up. So what I did was I took my pencil and I made little marks here, just little tiny marks. So I knew that this right here was above that line. Then I folded this piece, pulled it up. So you want to, again, line it up with the crease here. I pressed it up with my finger to line it up with the crease. Okay, so when you open it, this piece is going to open up. That piece is going to come with it. So I want to make sure that that is all the way down in the crease as it opens. And then hold that flat. Make another little mark with my pencil. This is what's going to come above that line when you open it, and then that piece will drop below that when you close it. So what I did was I opened this back up, and this is where I'm going to stamp my greeting. So I'm just using black Memento ink, my black Memento ink, and this says lots of love, grand, because I'm going to add the sun. So I'm going to put this right here, line that up, and then I add the sun. And there we go. So lots of love, grandson. And you can see the little marks, or maybe you can't, but here's the little marks here and the marks here. And so here's where I'm going to put the happy birthday. So stamp the happy birthday real good. Make sure that there's no ink on the block, which there is. So I will wipe that off with the little stamp chamois thing here. I did that on one earlier and got that mark on the card itself. So we'll stamp that in between those marks for the happy birthday. So there's that. All right, so now I'm going to put some of that tape up here at the top. This tape comes in different widths. So this is the 1/8 that I used on the pocket on the inside on this pocket. That's the really narrow 1/8 inch. And this, I believe, is 1/2 inch. I'll measure it. Yes, it's 1/2 inch. And I'm going to put that up here because you want these pieces to hold really well, because they're probably going to be opening and shutting the card a lot. And so you want it to hold through lots of openings and shuttings. And again, I just take my scissors and cut it. And that's down there. All right, so now let me take this and we're going to put this in here. I kind of pinch it from the sides to make sure I can get that in, and then I'm trying to find a place where it's in here where it's going to go up and down really well. And you want to erase your pencil marks. Let me do that before I stick it in there. Erase your pencil marks so you don't see those. And you can put whatever you want inside the card on this sliding piece. You can put pictures, animals, somebody jumping up, Jack out of the box, or whatever you want to put in there. And it can be hidden, so when you open it, it pops up, or it can be part of this and it just moves up farther as you open the card, however you want to do it. I just wanted to do this with a surprise happy birthday in here. So make sure that when you slide this in, it's in the middle with the same amount of room on both sides so that it will actually go up and down freely. They can get a little tight. And you could use foam tape down here if you wanted to help pop it out just a little bit. I didn't want to. It tends to make it a little bit too, I thought it was too thick, made the card too thick, so I didn't use foam tape. So once you have it lined up exactly where you want it so that you have the same amount on both sides, I close the card to see that's where I want it. Again, check to see if you have enough room on both sides. Then release, take the release paper off, and then close your card down. And that's going to stick it in place. So when you open it, it should slide up. That's the hard part. That's the hard part of the card. Now I want to decorate the front. Now I've already printed off, I printed off his name on the computer, and I punched this out of white cardstock with my oval punch. This is a 2.5 inch oval punch. And I used that stamp and then just stamped sending you underneath his name after I printed it off on the computer, and that oval stamp. So we have his name. Now I want to show you another trick, and I learned this from Connie Stewart, and I'm telling you what, this is a game changer for me. This saves cardstock like you wouldn't believe. So I want to use this color to coordinate with the same cardstock that's inside. This is going to be the mat on the front with the paper on top of it. But I wanted to have a scallop oval that I'm going to put this on, and I wanted it to be the same paper. Well, maybe you don't have extra sheets of cardstock, but if you look at this, this is going to be our mat, and you just put this on top of that and stick it on the front. There's a lot of wasted paper there. If you don't have extra, or maybe you don't want to just punch out a scallop circle out of a sheet of cardstock, and then you've got, what are you going to do with the rest of the cardstock now? You can't make a mat out of it or whatever. So let me show you this game changer. This just was a lifesaver for me. This is the mat that we're going to put on the card. Here's my punch that I want to use. You can use dies for this too if you want. Just punch it out of the mat. Nobody is going to see this because the paper is on it and it's on the card. Nobody's going to see that. So we're saving cardstock. You've got the same color. It coordinates, and it saves you extra cardstock. You don't have to use another sheet of cardstock to punch that out. I just thought that was genius. It was wonderful. Changed my life because I was wasting so much cardstock by using a lot of punches. And I use a lot of punches. I love my punches. I don't use dies as much as my punches. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I just thought that was genius. So, we're going to stick this down on here. And that's going to go on the front. I'm going to take the paper and I'm going to stick this down on the cardstock. I love this paper on the back too. Sometimes paper has really pretty designs on both the front and the back, and you don't know which side to use. Then you don't want to use it because you like both sides. It's really hard sometimes to use pretty paper. So I'm going to stick this down on here. Okay, now I want to put some ribbon on this, and this is the ribbon I want to use. I used to put glue dots on the ribbon, and I used to use tape on the ribbon, and I'm going to show you another trick that I've learned that makes this really, really easy to put ribbon on cards. I don't know, this just occurred to me someday. I didn't see anybody else do this, but it just occurred to me. I use a lot of tape runner. So I'm like, why not just go ahead, put the tape runner on the back of the card, put the ribbon wherever you want it, and it's just going to stick to the tape runner on the back of the card. Then you just wrap it around, again, wherever you want it on the card, and just stick it down to the back, and the tape runner will hold it. And then you can just take your scissors and trim it to whatever you want. I was trying to use tape, and I was trying to figure out if it was straight when I was taping it down and all that, and it was kind of difficult. So I just decided one day, hey, this is a lot easier. I just add a little bit more adhesive to the back so it'll hold the ribbon down when I stick it to the card. And I'm going to stick this down on here. There we go. And I just like those colors. I just thought the cream looked really good with the fish. Now I'm going to show you something else too. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. I like doing stamping. There's not a whole lot of stamping on this card, but I really like doing stamping. This is the piece that's going to be going on the inside. This cream piece, it's going to be going on the inside here, right here. So I'm going to do some stamping on that, and I'm also going to do some stamping on here. Now remember this fish hook? I thought this was really cool. And this is Peacock ink from Close to My Heart. The colors just really went well together. Now, I wanted to stamp this hook in the center here with his name, but this is very dark ink. So I'm going to do what's called second generation stamping. I'm going to stamp it once on this piece that goes on the inside because I want it dark on that. And then I'm going to stamp it again over his name so it's lighter. And you'll see that it changes the color a little bit and it just makes it lighter so his name stands out and it's not too dark. So I'm going to stamp this on the inside here. And then I'm going to stamp it again. There. And see, I think that's just really pretty. But we also get the image behind his name. It doesn't overpower his name, but it still shows up. That's called second generation stamping. Now I'm going to move my ink out of the way and my stamps out of the way so that I don't get ink on anything I don't want it on. And we're going to finish putting this card together. So we've got most of it done here. I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of this and put it on the inside of the card. And this gives room on the inside to write here. You can write on it. But it also has something a little different inside, little fish hook there. Okay. And sometimes you might have to help it just a little bit get closed there. This, I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of that. Where's my foam tape? Here it is. So I'm going to put some foam tape on the back of that. Because I wanted to pop that up a little bit. And I'm going to move that up just a little bit because I'm going to put a bow on here. I also wanted to be able to see the fish. Try to see as much of the fish on there as possible because that paper is really pretty. Bear with me for a minute because I'm going to try to make a bow. This is not my favorite thing to do, make bows. But you just make bunny ears. And then I just kind of twist this around and through, if you can get it through. My fingers don't always work really well. For those of you with arthritis out there, I feel you because my arthritis gives me fits every now and then. And it's hard to do little fussy things like make bows. But anyway, we get it done. Okay, so I made a little bow here to put on that. Now, this is for a boy. I didn't want to get too fussy with bows on a boy's card, but it needed something, and I think the bow really works. I think it works. It's okay. I don't think it's too girly looking for a boy. So I just trim the edges. And we're going to stick that down right there. Now, the way I stick ribbons down is I use glue dots. Let me show you the package. The glue dots, I use these. And the way I work this is, you've got a big dot here. I use my finger and I just kind of roll it down. Kind of looks like a little burrito. Then I take my bow, I stick it on that. Press down so it sticks to the bow itself and pull it off that, and then I just stick it down, and that is our card. So pretty simple, but it's got a little cute wow factor to it that's different that I hope y'all like. And thank you for joining me for this tutorial, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.